Here are the craziest and most terrifying moments when footballers nearly died on the pitch. At number 10, Ryan Mason. In January 2017, Hull City were playing Chelsea when Ryan Mason went up for a header against Gary Cahill. The clash of heads was so violent, Mason immediately collapsed. Medical staff sprinted on and it quickly became clear this wasn't just a normal injury. He had suffered a fractured skull. He was rushed to hospital and underwent emergency surgery. Mason later revealed, "I have 14 metal plates in my skull, 28 screws, and 45 staples. The pain was unbearable, like a bomb going off in my head." The decision by Hull's club doctor Mark Waller to bypass closer hospitals and take him directly to a specialist neurosurgery unit saved his life. Mason never played again, forced to retire at just 26, but he's since rebuilt his career as a coach.
It's a neurologist, the specialist with the brain, who flagged up some issues with the brain, whereas before it was just about the skull. But when the brain come into it as well, it was it just made the decision a lot easier. There wasn't a decision to make, to be honest.
Number 9, Eduardo da Silva. Arsenal fans still shudder at this one. February 2008, just 3 minutes into a match against Birmingham City, Eduardo da Silva took a pass and Martin Taylor came in with a late challenge. The result was horrific. Eduardo's left fibula snapped and his ankle was dislocated. Broadcasters were so shocked they refused to show replays. Teammates covered their faces in horror, and Arsenal's title challenge that season fell apart afterwards. Eduardo himself said later, "At first it didn't feel too bad, but then I looked down and saw my leg." He eventually recovered and played again, but he admitted the injury changed his career forever. At number 8, Raúl Jiménez. In November 2020, Wolves striker Raúl Jiménez challenged Arsenal's David Luiz in the air. The two clashed heads with a sickening thud, and Jiménez collapsed instantly. The stadium fell into silence as medical staff rushed to treat him. He had suffered a fractured skull and brain bleeding. Jiménez required emergency neurosurgery and months of recovery. Doctors warned him how lucky he was just to be alive. Amazingly, he returned to football with Wolves less than a year later, playing with a protective headband. His story is now used as an example of why head injury protocols matter so much in modern football. Number 7, Antonio Puerta. Sevilla fans will never forget August 2007. Antonio Puerta, just 22 years old, suddenly collapsed during a La Liga match. Shockingly, he managed to get up and even walked off the pitch, but in the dressing room, he collapsed again. He suffered multiple cardiac arrests over the next 3 days. Doctors fought desperately, but Puerta passed away. The most heartbreaking detail? His wife was pregnant with their first child. His son was born months later, never meeting his father. Sevilla later retired Puerta's number for several years, and his name is still honored at the club today. At number 6, Cheick Tioté. In June 2017, former Newcastle midfielder Cheick Tioté was training with his club Beijing Enterprises in China. Teammates described how he was laughing and joking one moment and collapsed the next. He was rushed to hospital, but it was too late. Tioté had died of a sudden cardiac arrest at just 30 years old. Fans in Newcastle, where he had played for 7 years, filled St. James's Park with flowers, shirts, and messages. His death was another reminder that heart problems can strike even the fittest athletes in the world. Number 5, Marc-Vivien Foé. One of the most tragic incidents in football history happened in 2003. Cameroon were playing Colombia in the Confederations Cup. In the middle of the game, midfielder Marc-Vivien Foé collapsed in the center circle with no one near him. Medics sprinted on, but after frantic efforts, they couldn't revive him. Foé was just 28 years old. His autopsy revealed a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a heart disease that often goes undetected. Foé's death shook the football world. FIFA later introduced mandatory defibrillators at stadiums and stricter medical screenings. His tragedy helped save countless lives after him. At number 4, Petr Čech. Chelsea's goalkeeper suffered one of the most dangerous injuries ever seen in the Premier League. In October 2006 against Reading, Čech dived to collect the ball, but Stephen Hunt's knee smashed directly into his head. Čech was stretchered off and taken to hospital. Doctors discovered a fractured skull. One surgeon later admitted if he had arrived a few minutes later, he would not have survived. He required emergency brain surgery, and when he returned months later, he wore that iconic padded helmet for the rest of his career. Every time fans saw it, they remembered just how close he came to death. Number 3, Fernando Torres, Atletico Madrid versus Deportivo La Coruña, March 2017. Torres went up for a header, but clashed violently with an opponent and fell to the ground unconscious. Players around him instantly panicked. Gabi and Sime Versalco rushed to hold his tongue and stop him choking. The quick reactions of teammates and medics saved his life. Torres was taken to hospital, monitored overnight, and released the next day. He returned to training within weeks, but those horrifying seconds when he lay motionless made headlines around the world. At number 2, Fabrice Muamba, perhaps the most famous near-death incident in English football. March 2012, Bolton Wanderers versus Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup. Fabrice Muamba collapsed suddenly in the middle of the pitch. His heart stopped for 78 minutes. In that time, paramedics shocked him with a defibrillator 15 times. The match was abandoned as fans wept in the stands and players prayed on the pitch. Miraculously, Muamba's heart restarted. Doctors said bluntly, in effect, he was dead. He survived, though his career ended that day. His survival remains one of football's greatest miracles.
Before my accident, I was ill, wasn't even ill as a person. Trained 5 times a week, was fit, playing the Premier League. Leading to the day, I trained through the whole week, looking forward to the game. And on the day, during the game, boom, happened. Anybody's at risk of suffering sudden cardiac arrest. Young, old, fit. You can go to the doctor, have a scan, they'll still pick up nothing.
And number 1, Christian Eriksen. Euro 2020, Denmark versus Finland. Millions of people watching live on television. Suddenly, Christian Eriksen collapsed face first onto the pitch. His teammates rushed to his side, forming a protective wall so cameras couldn't broadcast the scene. For 13 agonizing minutes, medics performed CPR. His wife ran onto the pitch in tears. The world thought we had just lost one of football's biggest stars. Team Dr. Morten Boesen later admitted he was gone. We did cardiac resuscitation, and it was cardiac arrest. But against all odds, Eriksen survived. He was fitted with a heart device and returned to professional football months later. Today, he plays at the highest level again, living proof of the importance of defibrillators and rapid medical response. These are the moments that remind us how fragile life is, even for the fittest athletes on earth. They show us that behind the trophies, the fame, and the glory, footballers are still human. And sometimes, survival is the greatest victory of all. Which of these moments shocked you the most? Let me know down below.